Remember those 5-minute dinners you ate growing up? Their recipes were only found in old cookbooks, but your mama and grandma knew them by heart. Back then, these quick meals meant breakfast was ready before the kids woke up, dinner on the table while the laundry dried, or a warm plate waiting when you came home hungry. So why did the simplest recipes with the most heart disappear first? Johnny Cakes. Grandmothers and homemakers ruled their kitchens with intuition and a worn cookbook, but they knew Johnny Cakes by heart. While the children played in the yard and laundry hung on the line, homemakers would whip up these beauties using cornmeal, hot water, and a pinch of salt. The real secret was that trusty spider pan with legs that sat perfectly over the coals. Your mother kept one eye on those cakes, watching for that perfect golden crisp that meant dinner was ready. The bacon fat jar sitting right by the stove was the magic that made Johnny Cakes sing with flavor. But in our rush toward convenience foods, we forgot the Johnny Cakes that our grandmothers made with ingredients they always had, which now seems like a culinary mystery we can barely remember. You can almost count on one finger the folks who still make it at home. Oatmeal meatloaf. Homemakers who had to stretch every penny during the Great Depression found a little breathing room after the era, and they poured all that relief into their oatmeal meatloaf. This wasn't the meat-heavy version we know today, but layers of seasoned oats stuffed with sausage and bacon that the family could afford again. Smart housewives discovered that oats could carry a meal just as well as expensive ground beef, when you knew how to build the layers right. Dried onions and garlic, maybe some tomato sauce too, and a meal worthy of the good china, with enough left over for tomorrow's lunch, was ready. Once families could afford eggs and flour again, homemakers went all out. Extra eggs for binding, real flour for texture, because after years of making do with scraps, nobody was holding back when it came to feeding their children properly. Back then, a resourceful homemaker could turn a 50-cent box of oatmeal into a feast that satisfied the whole family. Somehow, we've completely lost this art of making oats the star instead of the filler. Deviled ham pickle roll-ups. These spiraled little bites came to mind when a homemaker needed finger food, because it was an easy way to turn lunch meat and pantry staples into intentional meals good for company. Those post-war housewives who'd learned to waste nothing discovered that a smear of that pink, salty deviled ham, a crisp pickle spear, and suddenly cold cuts became party food. Roll, slice, toothpick, and repeat until you had a platter that could feed the whole ladies' auxiliary. The old community cookbook collections are filled with variations because moms knew this formula by heart. Some added cream cheese, others used different pickles. But the foundation of using simple ingredients to make a meal that never disappointed never changed. How many people still remember these little roll-ups that required zero skill but delivered maximum satisfaction? They have vanished from our entertaining playbook, along with the confidence our grandmothers had in making something from almost nothing. Frozen peas salad. They ruled those church basement tables and family gatherings, and every homemaker had this ace up her sleeve when the neighborhood potluck needed a side dish in 15 minutes. Dump frozen peas straight from the bag. Add a generous dollop of Miracle Whip, maybe some shredded cheese too. Every wife or daughter who has ever faced a hungry family on a hot summer evening will understand frozen peas salad. Those old cookbooks you own or have been meaning to buy were filled with variations of this recipe, passed between neighbors. A sprinkle of bacon here, a dash of onion powder there. If you never tried it, you missed something special. If you did, well, you're probably already smiling. King Ranch chicken casserole wasn't some dainty side dish. but a full-throttle, protein-packed powerhouse that could stretch to feed more than 7 kids without breaking the bank. Southern kitchens from Dallas to Birmingham swore by this recipe, and smart housewives knew it multiplied like magic. Double or triple the ingredients if the meal was meant for more than immediate family, and that trusty casserole dish would deliver every single time. Every family guarded their recipe like a state secret, because they knew this dish could make or break a reputation. Back then, a homemaker could confidently promise dinner for 12 with nothing more than what she had in her pantry and the wisdom tucked inside her grandmother's cookbook. Fried potato skins. When a thrifty homemaker peeled potatoes for dinner, those skins never saw the garbage pail. 10 minutes in hot fat, and what most families would throw away became the afternoon snack that kept hungry children satisfied until supper was ready. Those Depression-era housewives who saved bacon grease and reused every scrap knew that potato skins were pure gold waiting to be discovered. Crispy, salty, and filling enough to tide over restless appetites without spoiling dinner. It was the kind of smart thinking that kept both bellies and budgets in line. The old cookbook wisdom our grandmothers lived by made perfect sense. If you're already frying potato pancakes, why waste the fuel or the opportunity? Those golden, crunchy skins became the natural sidekick that completed the meal and used every bit of what the earth provided. Some people somehow convinced themselves and others that our grandmother's waste-nothing approach wasn't frugal enough. Rice raisins. Housewives loved this because it solved the morning rush before anyone knew there was a problem to solve. Those old cookbooks from the 40s and 50s are filled with variations of this recipe, because homemakers understood leftover rice didn't have to mean leftover dinner. A quick splash of milk, a handful of raisins, and breakfast was ready while the coffee was still percolating. Whether 1 child or 6 children in the morning, or 7 guests in the evening, a resourceful homemaker could stretch this dish with brown sugar, or dress it up with nuts when company was coming. The recipe was bent to fit whatever the family needed back then, but how our grandmothers could turn pantry staples into a filling breakfast faster than we can pour cereal from a box somehow slipped right out of our collective memory. Whole grain porridge. Moms had their morning formula down to a science before the breakfast aisle existed. 15 minutes of gentle simmering, and families were out the door with something that would last until lunch. No mid-morning energy crashes for the man, and no hungry children dragging their feet home from school. Millet, quinoa, and oats weren't exotic health foods, but pantry staples that smart housewives relied on because they worked. A scoop of grain, some milk, and breakfast was handled while she tackled the rest of her morning chores. It didn't need measuring cups, mysterious ingredients, and labels to decode, yet these whole grains fed families for generations when topped with either honey from the neighbor's hives, cinnamon from the spice tin, or apples from the backyard tree. Parents today traded this reliable morning ritual for boxes promising convenience, but somehow missed that our grandmothers had already perfected the fastest, most satisfying breakfast possible. Their old cookbooks still hold the proof, if we just remember to look. Apple nachos with marshmallow and peanut butter. This wasn't cookbook knowledge, but pure homemaker ingenuity that was useful when the children were restless and the next meal was hours away, while solving every mother's eternal struggle, or getting fruit into her kids without starting World War III. Back then, homemakers didn't write this down in their recipe box, but every smart mother knew exactly how to layer those apple slices and drizzle the gooey combination that turned healthy fruit into a snack that felt deliciously forbidden. They'd make it with whatever peanut butter jar was open, whatever apples hadn't gone soft, and that magical jar of fluff that made everything better. Modern after-school snacks require complicated preparation or expensive packages. But our mothers and grandmothers knew that 5 minutes of creative chaos could buy them an hour of peace. And their children would eat every bite. Back in the day, beef heart was real survival food. Cheap, filling, and full of protein. It might sound strange now, but for the working man, it was a source of strength. Railroad crews, mill operators, and factory workers all knew a well-cooked beef heart with onions and root veggies would keep them going all day. It was strong and made up in nutrients, what lacked for not being fancy. Beef heart were either sliced thin for sandwiches or served hot with gravy. It was a blue-collar favorite that had folks say that how it was cooked mattered more than how you cut it. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to Back Then USA, where we celebrate American nostalgia, one video at a time. Today's presentation reminded us of the survival foods that helped our fathers and grandfathers get through hard times. These meals tell a story about how we were raised, about men who worked with their hands, and families who made the most of every dollar. The working man's table offered nourishing foods that helped build this country during its toughest years. These recipes taught us how to live well with limited means. Many of us remember hearing about them from fathers and grandfathers after long days of honest work. Today, some of these survival foods have become surprisingly expensive, but their wisdom remains. With slow cooking, a little time and care, even humble ingredients can still bring comfort meals. If you enjoyed this journey through the survival foods of working men, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your own family food memories in the comments below. Until next time, take care and keep the old ways alive.